At this rate, I think this coming console generation will be even more expensive than the Neo Geo was. So, at Nintendo's last live event, throughout the entirety of their stream, they were bombarded with their users spamming lower the price. And you know that can't be ignored. You know the company is looking at that, and whether they're considering it or not, I have no clue. The only way consumers ever got Nintendo to lower prices was by not buying their product and forcing them to do so. Unfortunately, there's too much soy in the water these days, and people really want their thumbnails with their mouth open holding the Switch 2, so they will pay whatever price is required for them to get their little clickbait thumbnail. But Frit, your video comes up as clickbait. Yeah, well, I can't argue that. But at the very least, I'm glad to know I'm not a part of the problem. So, like I said, everybody was ranting at Nintendo about the prices in their live stream. We also come to find out that the Switch 2's battery life isn't very good whatsoever. And then today, we wake up to the news that the Switch 2 pre-orders are delayed in the United States. And the reasons are pretty political. I don't want to get too much into them because some people will not be able to, handle criticism of a certain politician, but just know it is indeed related to tariffs. I don't have time to educate you on tariffs. This is a gaming channel. I'm not good at pretending to know politics like other people. But what I can tell you is what Nintendo said themselves. Nintendo says it's not starting US Switch 2 pre-orders yet, as it assesses tariffs and market conditions. Nintendo has issued a statement about Switch 2 pre-orders in the United States, noting that they have been delayed. Reservations have not started since the company is evaluating the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 were set to begin stateside on April 2nd. Now, however, that has been pushed back to an unspecified date, though the console remains on track for June 5th. Meanwhile, pre-order have opened in some other regions, and many have sold out already. The full statement regarding the delay of Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders in the United States are as follows. Pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged.
We f*** you up, man. We taste the money.
Now, I see a lot of people wanting to have a political debate over this, and I just think that is not the right way to be approaching this subject, because there is one very important thing to consider here. Nintendo is assessing tariffs now. What does that mean? That means the price of the console and the price of their games was always set in stone. No matter what, that is what they were going to charge you from the very beginning, because this is a greedy company. Now, I don't really have that big of a problem with the console's price, but what does it mean when Nintendo wants to assess this situation? Does that mean they're gonna quite possibly increase the price in order to adapt to these tariffs put in place? That is more than likely the case, yes. So we might be looking at a $500 or $550 Switch 2 instead of a $450 one. And we may be looking at $100 games instead of $90 or $80 games. It's not guaranteed that Nintendo is going to consider the consumers in this one. If that's the price they wanted to charge you originally, they're not gonna budge. Pre-orders are sold out as we speak, not in the United States, but once those pre-orders do drop in the States, I highly doubt they are going to be cheaper than what we were told. There is no way Nintendo is going to cut back the price because of tariffs. They may look at this as an opportunity to be even greedier than before. And that's a real problem here. Every single market and every single region of the world has to be considered, as tariffs are not implemented at the same rate they are in certain parts of the world. For instance, Vietnam, where Nintendo manufactures a lot of their consoles, they've been hit with a 46% tariff on imports. Not to mention China, where they also manufacture a lot of their products. They are also hit with tariffs. And guess what? these companies and these politicians couldn't give two shits. You're forking over the bill for all of this. Gaming is about to get a lot more artificially expensive. And this doesn't just apply to Nintendo, but all the other gaming companies you can think of, yeah, they're not going to care just about as much as Nintendo. Tariffs or not, there was always going to be a price increase, but you add the tariffs and things just start to get ridiculously expensive. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't be holding Nintendo accountable, okay? I know it's very easy for people to blame world leaders on this because that's a scapegoat. It's an easy way out of confronting the truth, and the truth is these gaming companies are greedy. But most importantly, they're opportunistic as fuck, and Nintendo is going to be taking full advantage. So I don't really want to see people trying to absolve them of any wrongdoing. And it's especially worse here because we don't know if the outcome will be prices go up. I would love it if Nintendo lowers prices and sets a precedent, but are we really supposed to expect that out of a company that sold you cardboard? Just...
People are going off in the Nintendo chat. Yeah, I mean, delaying the pre-orders, that has nothing to do with Nintendo. Nintendo tried to do their best to get around this situation so that the consumer wouldn't have to eat a price increase. So getting angry at Nintendo is completely ridiculous. Like, they don't have any control over this. They did what they thought would work and help themselves as well as the consumer get the device. I mean, what are you going to do? Yeah, instead of spamming drop the price or let us pre-order, tell people to contact their local government and complain to them. Make the phone lines bleed. That's what I would be doing.
Listen to that. No, how about we hold both accountable, okay? Yeah, the tariffs don't help. We can all agree to that. But to even suggest that Nintendo did whatever they could to not increase the prices, are you stupid? They decided a long time ago this is what they wanted to charge you, and now they might charge you even more. Absolutely insane to see somebody try to absolve Nintendo of all blame and wrongdoing. It's clear as day that corporate shills like Reforged Gaming here are entirely unaffected by the price because he sits in a chair all day and streams. He doesn't remember what it's like to grind for these products. That's lost on a lot of content creators and influencers. And luckily for me, I'm not the richest YouTuber in the world, so I feel you guys. Perhaps if I was making whatever these guys make a month doing content as a living, then there would be that disconnect and I wouldn't be able to relate to you guys. But believe me, I'm grateful that I can relate to you guys. I don't like seeing shit get more expensive. Complacent people, however, who already live a very comfortable life, they don't have a clue. It's why you see geeks and gamers and Razor Fist out here defending these price hikes. At the very least, those two won't try to blame it all solely on tariffs. But it seems like people are choosing one side over the other on this matter, and I'm thinking, what good does that do us? Cheering for either side doesn't ensure a price decrease, so why are we even picking a side? No, it's not Nintendo's fault. No, it's not the tariffs. None of us are going to be arguing who's right or wrong when the hardware and the games continue to go up in price. Eventually, we're going to have to set our differences aside, right? The real focus should be the very fact that you are going to be paying a lot more for a handheld tablet and for digital games you don't actually physically own. I understand that the Switch 2 is going to be a brand new device, but the fact this thing is going to be priced about accordingly to a PS5 is ridiculous when half the capabilities are not there. So imagine if you have to pay an extra $50 in a market where you're already buying consoles that don't even have a disc drive. The cost of all of this shit is so artificially inflated, I'm surprised we haven't taken up pitchforks. Oh, I know why. It's because for every single person like me you have 50 Reforged Gamings out there, making the hobby a lot more expensive than it needs to be because they just don't know how to close their wallet. People blame tariffs, people blame inflation, but at the end of the day, these companies and corporations should be pushed into figuring out how to make gaming a lot more economically friendly and attract more consumers. But we're living in an era where people want the Gucci brand of gaming. They want to have the latest device, the latest game, and not thinking twice about what they just supported. Shaming does no good, But perhaps game prices skyrocketing to $150, maybe then you'll listen to what people have been saying. But the way gaming trends have gone for years, I doubt that's the case. Anyways, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to. That being said, I'll see you in the next video.
Free Congo sucks ass.